I notice that there is still too little knowledge about understanding what such trauma entails and what the outcome can be. This is true for the individual undergoing the situation and for the outside world to judge the individual. The impact on the children continues far into adulthood. They struggle with low self-esteem and decision-making, lack confidence in others, and struggle to build healthy relationships with partners or friends. A narcissistic mother places her needs above her daughter's. She will not hesitate to belittle her child as a tool for blowing up her ego and maintaining dominance. In such family dynamics, the child's well-being and needs are overlooked or overshadowed by her mother's self-interest. The child's rights to express her thoughts, feelings, and individuality are often suppressed or rejected. This poisonous form of parenting leaves an unforgettable impression on the child's psyche that shapes their personality. Their self-esteem is undermined, and their self-esteem and capacities are questioned. Prolonged exposure to this emotional abuse leads to severe mental health problems. The effects of a narcissistic mother influence every facet of her daughter's life well into adulthood, from her interpersonal relationships to her professional performance. The narcissistic mother wants to control her daughter. She will try to manipulate her daughter's life and dictate her decisions, emotions, and actions. This influence is not limited to the daughter's choices. It extends to every facet of her life, creating a suffocating environment in which the mother's voice becomes that of the daughter. And narcissists are experts at undermining self-esteem. This method maintains a cycle of uncertainty and doubt, strengthening the mother's position of power. A constant divide-and-rule strategy isolates the daughter, making her more sensitive to the mother's influence and control. The ultimate goal is not control but total submission. She wants to cultivate a sense of unconditional obedience and controlled faithfulness so that she becomes an extension of her mother's will. This stunts the development of crucial properties such as independence, self-confidence, and healthy self-esteem. Constantly in the shadow of her mother, the child struggles to develop her identity. At the same time, her confidence is paralyzed by a life of manipulation and control. This is more than a power game. It is a form of emotional coercion that hinders growth and personal development. It damages the future relationships she enters into and her self-perception. Narcissistic mothers lack empathy, especially towards their daughters. Not having or showing feelings is a defining feature that colors any interaction with their daughters. They are indifferent or unaware of their daughters' emotional problems and experiences. They remain distant from the emotional landscape and do not show sensitivity to their daughter's needs, desires, and feelings. Reactions to emotional expressions can range from negative to manipulative. Instead of offering guidance or comfort, the mother resorts to gaslighting, which subtly casts doubt on the daughter's validity of her own emotions. People do not feel seen, unheard of, or validated at such moments. Her feelings are downplayed and her experiences are belittled. This emotional neglect is compounded by harsh criticism or disgust for her child's performance and personal growth. Where their child's successes and milestones are typically celebrated, the narcissistic mother downplays them or ignores them altogether. The daughter feels isolated and rejected. This ensures that she will struggle with trusting others at a later age because she fears rejection or ridicule. It can also be challenging for her to express her emotions openly and honestly. Narcissists always have unrealistic expectations, which put pressure on an environment where it is impossible to meet the standards. Any performance is considered insufficient. Persistent belittling and lack of recognition can profoundly affect the daughter. She will repeatedly question her self-esteem and believe that she is not good enough, regardless of what or how much she has achieved. A deep-seated uncertainty is created. A cycle is created where efforts are made to meet the unfeasible expectations, and one needs to catch up each time. This backs the child's doubts about her abilities and values. Unhealthy codependent relationships often occur between mothers and their daughters, which are characterized by emotional entanglement, manipulation, and a strong power imbalance. This dysfunctional band is about control and dependence instead of love and support. The mother manipulates the daughter to serve her using guilt, fear, or coercion. She must obey but also anticipate and fulfill the mother's needs, often at her own expense. This manipulation goes beyond concrete tasks. Feeling responsible for the mother's emotional well-being is also very common. This is what we call parentification. The child takes on an inappropriate role, takes care of her mother's emotional needs, and neglects her own needs. As all this happens, the daughter fully knows that nothing she does will ever satisfy her mother. The struggle to gain validation and acceptance undermines the daughter's sense of autonomy. She believes that her value lies only in pleasing her mother's ability. Her self-esteem becomes connected to her mother's whims and moods, making her feel powerless and trapped. This leads to incredible feelings of guilt and shame. The daughter is conditioned to prioritize the mother's needs over her own. The love is conditional and depends on the ability to meet strict criteria. A daughter is not appreciated for who she is. It often happens that a daughter is only appreciated for how well she can enhance the image of the mother. Growing up in such a conditional environment is very serious. Children often fear failure or rejection because they are conditioned to associate these experiences with the loss of love and approval. Deep feelings of guilt arise because people are convinced that the child is responsible for her mother's happiness. This guilt, coupled with fear of losing love, creates a pattern of self-reproachment and self-criticism. Such a reversal of roles has been strategically selected to exploit the daughter. She who believes that her mother's well-being is her responsibility will always try to satisfy her mother, agree to her demands, and avoid and prevent any conflict or displeasure. The love and empathy of the child are abused, and she enters a cycle of self-sacrifice. Due to the uncertainties and need for dominance, narcissistic mothers are also jealous of their daughters. This is a persistent feeling that colors every interaction and determines the relationship. She also competes with the daughter. She sees her as a threat. To undermine her daughter's confidence, she will have no doubts about harsh criticism or even utter outright insults. The narcissistic mother feels compelled to tear down her daughter to honor her vulnerable ego. This destructive behavior creates an environment of constant tension and emotional distress. The daughter must constantly defend herself against her mother's attacks. As I mentioned, the long-term effects significantly impact one's emotional and mental health. Children of narcissistic parents or daughters of narcissistic mothers develop an anxious avoidant attachment style. The narcissistic mother does not express unconditional love and affection for her daughter. She is an extension of herself and is there to meet her needs. Showing love or affection is considered a sign of weakness. As a result, the child does not feel safe or secure in the relationship with her mother, teaching her to protect herself by emotionally distancing herself. Unfortunately, the child maintains this anxious avoidant attachment style into adulthood. The impact is significant because it is tough for these women to trust and bond with others. They find it challenging to get too close to someone, share their feelings, and open up. They are also constantly alert and wary. This puts a lot of pressure on relationships and can make it very difficult to maintain them. It leads to unhealthy relationships in which the individual constantly looks for something she's afraid she'll never find. Another effect of having a narcissistic mother is that the child will have problems setting limits. Mothers expect their daughters to meet all their needs and get angry if they don't. They want to live vicariously through their daughters. As a result, the daughter grows up feeling guilty when she says no or sets a limit. She is trained, as it were, to feel guilty for disappointing her mother if she does not do something or if she does not meet her expectations. This often leads to the child becoming a pleaser and struggling to stand up for herself. At a later age, we see that they are having a tough time saying no to people in general. This leads to problems in both her personal and professional life. The child is also at risk of becoming codependent. Forming healthy relationships can be difficult because they constantly seek confirmation that their mother never gave them during childhood. This need for approval can lead them to unhealthy paths, like trying too hard or entering into bad relationships just because of having company. Codependency occurs when you have an unhealthy dependence on someone emotionally unavailable or abused. This results in a harmful and unbalanced relationship in which one person always gives and the other always takes. Codependency often starts in childhood when a child has an emotionally unavailable or violent parent. Since the child has learned that it is her job to satisfy the parent, the child becomes overly willing. They do everything they can to meet their needs. These daughters of narcissistic mothers are more vulnerable to unhealthy relationships and often have an inner struggle. They often have a hard time trusting their judgment or recognizing their needs. Navigating through life, facing challenges, never feeling where you should be, having doubts and feelings that you can't process as they should be, and living your life how you were taught creates this maze you cannot find the exit from. You are living your truth as best as possible. until there is a moment that changes everything. This life-changing moment can appear anytime, mainly during severe events. Unfortunately, it's not guaranteed. I call this event the "if you are lucky" event. What I mean by this is that by living our truth, we are unaware or don't know what is going on. We have no clue what is wrong in the most significant way. We always felt something or some things were off, but we couldn't pinpoint it. We were often redirected, so we could not find the truth. When the "if you are lucky" event happens, the world may collapse, stand still, or first collapse and then stand still. No one could have ever prepared for what's coming. This is a blessing and a curse at the same time, but it's the only thing we must go through so we can start healing our trauma. Unfortunately, some victims never get their moment of truth and suffer their whole life without realizing what is going on. The outside world judges them for who they are, how they behave, think, act, and for being stupid and naive. So before judging someone, please always look further than you can see. Everything has a reason, and it isn't always very friendly.